This was where my small bandsaw had been sitting, but I sold that and I bought this one. So this is a Delta 12-inch bandsaw, and the other one was a 10-inch that had 3 wheels. This is one with 2 wheels. The one thing that it had an issue with was there weren't bolts for this leg, and there was only one bolt in that leg. And then, silly me, whenever I was trying to figure out which one it was, I thought, oh, Delta, that's a US company, and it's old, so it probably has, you know, the normal 5/16, 3/8, whatever. So I took my thing I took this thing, and I tried, okay, well, 5/16, 18, that went in one of the holes that was empty and somewhat stripped out. So I figured, well, it goes in a little bit, maybe it's just, you know, full of gunk and stuff, I'll just deal with it. No, it was metric. But notice there are 5/16, 18 bolts in there now. The joys of having tap and die sets. So yeah, I didn't realize it was metric. Cleaned it up in quotes to fit the 5/16, 18, and now they're 5/16, 18, which is good because I have a bunch of those. I don't have metric ones. But then the next problem is getting this bolted down on top of there. Now the problem with that, some of you who watched my other video on this stand, most of that's metal. I'm not drilling and tapping. I mean, I could. Going downward into that would be extremely annoying. So I'm going to make a second layer of plywood on top of here, bolt up through that plywood into the saw, and then screw downward from that plywood into this and see if that works. It's not ideal, and it turns out that's a really heavy saw compared to the last one, which that's a steel stand with 6-inch wheels. The stand is not going to have any problem with that. The problem with it is just playing it around and moving it around. So I think what I'm going to do is take these off and put them on top of the plywood, figure out where the holes are, drill the holes, make sure those work, and then put these back on, and then bolt the plywood on, and then figure out how that's supposed to go on top of there. I have another project. It's an unexpected project. The perils of Craigslist. You check these things and suddenly, oh, I need one of those, or oh, I've been looking for that. That is the next project, is get this sorted on the stand. And I also have to make another knob for on here. Otherwise, you just have to, these are pull open doors, and it's not in too bad a shape. I think he has a metal blade on here now though. But yeah, I need to add a handle like up there. It's a cool saw. It's from back when things were metal versus plastic, so I do like that part. That was why I was like, ooh, I need that. Because the modern saws that you can buy, they have so much plastic in them, they're garbage. But this one has mostly metal. Okay, the board is on. Since it's just an extra piece of the birch plywood type stuff, but you know, hey, it was the right size. And so I countersunk that with some Forstner bits, and these are some 2-inch 5/16 bolts. Some have washers on, because this side does not have any threads, so I just bolted this on. I actually had to take the motor completely off in order to figure out where the holes pattern was supposed to be, because there's no other way to tell where that hole is on the bottom if you don't take the motor off and lay the thing down and drill through the bottom, and it was a pain. But I think I got it lined back up again, and I hope the motor tension is right. We'll find out. I guess I should test that before I put it on the stand. But the next part is get this up on the stand, and then, well, first attach that to the stand with the screws that go up in to hold that on, and then put screws down through this into there to hold this onto there. I think this is going to work. These are countersunk just enough that it won't impact when it's sitting flat. So that should work. All right, well, that plan worked. I was able to get it on the plywood. I got the belt tensioned. It was too loose. So I took this off, loosened the motor, pushed it back, tightened the motor again, and now it doesn't squeal on start. So I'm assuming that's a plus, because that means it's not spinning on startup. And then I screwed it down. Then there's another issue. So I don't know if that's visible, but it's about, well, let's put it this way. My shoulder is almost straight out, so it's a tad high. So if I hold my arms basically straight out, it lays on the table. So yeah, instead of being down here where it's more convenient, it's kind of up here. But, you know, what are you gonna do? It fit on the existing stand. If I end up using it and getting cramps from it being up too high, I'll either stand on a stool or come up with a different stand. But for now, the plan to get it on the existing stand did work. It's stable. I mean, the wheels move, but it doesn't. It turns on, it runs okay. It sounds much better than it did when it was at the guy's garage that I bought it from, because it's all cleaned out. There's far less dust in it than there was. There still might be some. I think I have to take these screws out and look. There was a bunch back in there that when I blew it out with the air, it was all puffing out. So there may be still some dust back in there that I'll have to look at. But I do think that's a metal blade, because he had mentioned as I was leaving that he had been cutting metal. I'm not sure if you're supposed to cut metal on this, but I guess if you have a metal blade, like a hacksaw type blade, you theoretically could. It was thin stuff that he was cutting, the really thin stuff. In any case, I'll be putting the wood blades on. He did give me wood blades with it. So I'll be switching over to that, because the majority of stuff I'll be cutting on it is wood. But it's a successful project. The plan to get it on the stand worked. It's probably too high, but you know, theoretically, if I switched this over and either figured out how to bolt this directly to the metal frame, that would reduce it 1.5 inches, but that's only going to drop it this far. That would be better. But realistically, the other bandsaw table is down at this level. So my big bandsaw, the table is actually down about here. So there's no way on this stand to get that one down that far. But, you know, what are you going to do? You use the existing stuff and you go from there. He did give me a stand for it, but I really don't have room to make a stand like that. But I may make I don't know. We'll see. Again, it's on there now. For now, that's good enough. I can roll it into a spot and then, you know, it's out of the way. It's usable. It's just a little bit high. Minor addendum. It won't fit where it normally goes because it has to go past that. And this is about, 4 inches taller than that. So it's supposed to sit over there. So yeah, I may have to figure something else out. Could try lower wheels, but we'll see. In any case, it's still on the stand. So that part was successful. It's a bit tall, but it's on the stand, even if it's too tall to go where it's supposed to.